Hey guys, so I've been getting a lot of questions around confidence. And so confidence is something that a lot of people struggle with. So, I've been reading a story about Ben Jonson. So let me tell you about Ben Jonson. Ben Jonson, born in 1572. He lived in London at the time. This guy lived a crazy life. He was in the army at that time, dueled a couple people, killed some people. And let me go over here, more light. And he ended up working with the greats, working with Shakespeare, working with, actually even competing with Shakespeare at some point. And then he was named the head of the Guild of Poetry after Shakespeare died. So, he went up there pretty quick. But in the meantime, he was named one of the most confident people around. And the reason why he was named one of the most confident is because throughout his life, he lived he didn't live an easy life. And so his father was a bricklayer. It's more light in here. His father, growing up, was a bricklayer. And so back in the day, in the 1500s, if your father was a bricklayer, you were a bricklayer. If your father was worked with steel and was a blacksmith, you were a blacksmith. You didn't change. That's how it was back then. And so how it was back then as well was when you said something and it didn't sit well with people who are rich, well, guess what? You get to go to jail. In fact, at one time, he was threatened circumcision of his nose and his ears. And so I think a lot of people back, they still have that for some reason. It's either it's in our blood, like Will and Ariel Durant, they talk about, in our blood. We carry a lot of things from our ancestors, from our blood. And so one of the things that we may even carry from our ancestors is that fear. And so that fear of, if we say something or do something out of line, we're going to get in trouble. Now, in today's, there's a limit to what we could really say, right? But for the most part, we're not going to get our nose and ears circumcised, taken away from us if we wrote a play, right? Or if we went out there and took some risks. We live in a world now where you could take a little bit more risk, and it'll be okay. Especially here, if you're lucky enough to be born or live here in the States. I'm here in the States. I live in Seattle. If you're lucky enough to be here, at least in the States or in this area, for the most part, you're not going to be starving. For the most part, if you make a mistake, there's not people dying in the streets of starvation. At least not here. So if you're also lucky enough to be born healthy, just think about that. If you're lucky enough to be born healthy, no disease, you get kids in Africa who are born with diseases and AIDS, and they're starting out life even harder. So what does that say about you? So as far as confidence, right, I think we bring all that in as far as ancestors. When you think of Ben Jonson, he even up to a point competed with Shakespeare at that time. He went to jail multiple times. He murdered people in duels. And so, we have that. We should gain that confidence. Not exactly murder people, right? No, that's wrong, obviously. But the confidence is the message. So what are you going to do right now to gain that confidence? Because we live in a whole other world, right? Read about Ben Jonson, right? So if you Google Ben Jonson 1500 London or English, you'll find him. But anyways, that's something I've been thinking about. So hope it helps.